of the best questions in the world is called a bait question. One behavior never indicates deception by itself. It never should. What's really important is being good at detecting change.
What are some things we need to look for to spot people who are lying?
There are some indicators that are pretty well known, and I'll give you a couple of those. But I think it's the biggest mistake I ever made in my life was spending 10 years learning all of those indicators. I built a periodic table of this stuff. So when it comes to these indicators, those are important. What's really important is being good at detecting change. So the conversation starts normally, where are you from? What do you do? Some basic information I'm getting out of this person. And then we get to the harder questions, and I'm looking for changes to their behavior. Are they answering questions the same way that they were a few minutes ago? Are their eyes moving the same way? Are their fingers doing the same thing? Are they breathing at the same speed? So looking for changes is more important than knowing what behaviors to look for. So if I see a big pile of changes, I can be almost certain that this person is being deceptive without even knowing what I'm really seeing. So getting good at changes is the first and most important thing. Then understanding context and clusters. So context meaning like, oh, this person is crossing their arms. They must be defensive. Well, what if it's 50 degrees outside and they're freezing cold? So there's context that plays in. So then understanding context and then clusters. I'm going to look for not just one behavior. When somebody says, oh, somebody scratched their nose or they touched their face, they're lying, or they looked away for a minute, they're lying. One behavior never indicates deception by itself. It never should. You should always see a cluster of behavior. And sometimes someone's lying and those behaviors aren't there. They're just not there. And that goes into stakes. Are you good enough to ask questions to raise the stakes? So if I give you a picture of a duck right now and tell you, convince this person over here that you are looking at a picture of a horse, you're not going to show a lot of deception indicator. But if I do the exact same thing, and I say, if you don't do this, I'm going to put a bullet in your head. You're doing the exact same lie, the exact same situation. Now the stakes are higher so that your deception indicators are increased. So like one of the ways that we might increase stakes is something as simple as me saying, Morgan, I like you as a person and I don't want you to get tripped up. So I want you to think very carefully before you answer this question. You understand? So now the stakes go up. I've just pumped up your body language with just a little paragraph there.
Yeah. So then it's going to make me more sensitive to any sort of deceptive patterns. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Ramping up your brain.
Yeah.
Before the question comes, so that, and if you're innocent, your brain's not going to get ramped up.
Yeah.
So if a murder took place and you know you're not the killer, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, fine. That question won't cause you any stress. It's just like this other question. We're talking about detecting deception. It's not just about behavior. It's about, can you ask good questions? And one of the best questions in the world is called a bait question. And this is where, let's say a crime happened. Let's say some $10,000 was stolen from a grocery store or something. I've got you in here as a suspect. And you did it. Let's say you did it. I might say, Maureen, is there any reason that you can think of that a video would have showed up from a black and white camera, maybe a security camera that showed that you took the money? And if you knew there were no video cameras, you'd say, no, you'd be comfortable, right? So then I make it more vague. And I say, Maureen, is there any reason that somebody would have say that they saw your car parked outside that store that evening? And you don't know how many people I've talked to. And the only time that you will get nervous is if you were there.
True.
And you know that if you're going to commit to lying and I'm about to slam you in the face with evidence, you don't know if I'm about to do that. That's why that bait question is so important. It works with kids. And the second way to do it, the way to do the bait question is there any reason blah, blah, blah might have happened? So you never are leading them. You're not saying, I have this evidence, ever.
It's like a hypothetical.
Is there any reason somebody would have told one of our officers or one of our investigators that they saw you parked outside of that house, or they saw you at around 9:15 p.m.? And so the more vague, the better it is.
So how would you use that? You said with kids. So how would you use that with say your children in completely different contexts in like an everyday life?
Yeah, give me a lie, and I'll tell you the question.
Or you have kids. What lies do kids say? well, things what I used to say was, I gave my parents heart attacks when we were growing up. The amount of times the police came to the door. I don't know. It was just always it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I wasn't there.
Yeah. So one thing, is there any reason somebody would have seen you, or is there any reason someone would say that you might be there? Is great for kids. The best one for kids is called the punishment question. And this is, what do you think should happen to the person that did this? And so this has been used in my life, talking to predators. And these are people that prey on children. And I would say, well, what do you think should happen to the person that did this? And the answer is always something like, well, definitely they should apologize to the family. They didn't need some kind of counseling.
Something like really low.
Yeah. Ridiculous. And they'll say things like, well, obviously that person's sick and they need help and they need some kind of counseling and therapy. On my kids, I used this before. So when I was in the military, I come home in my uniform one day, like the little camo uniform, walking in, and there's a little box of chocolate milk, right? It's opened, and it's just laying on its side. All this chocolate milk. It's just, we had a white rug, like an idiot. It was kids. And my two kids, Charlotte and William, are in there. They're probably 5 and 6, somewhere around there. And I was like, who brought this milk here in the living room? We're not supposed to have milk in here, just water. And they were like, no, I don't know. I looked at my son, I don't know. I'm like, all right, Charlotte, living room, William, kitchen.
Separate.
Yeah. I went to Charlotte and I went to William first. No, I went to Charlotte first. I said, Charlotte, what should happen to the person that spilled this milk on the floor? She said, spankings, no more Xbox, no electronics, can't go outside, can't play with friends, grounded. I'm like, okay, all right. And I go over to William and I say, William, what should happen to the person that spilled that chocolate milk on the floor? And he goes, no more chocolate milk in the living room. So, and what's funny is it's funny that kids do this, but adults react the same way to that question.
Because it's emotional, right? I'm imagining, so I'm trying to play it in my head. I'm like, what would be happening? Because if I did it, I have images of it happening. Like, so I'm visually, I'm playing it out of my head. And if I'm focusing on it, I'm going to feel it. And now if you're raising the stakes, being like, what should happen? Now I'm visualizing, if I get caught, it's my punishment. It's going to make me,
right.
I'm freaking out.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, well, what if they do what they say that they're going to do?
Yeah.
What if they do what I say? So that's the bait question and the punishment question. Those are really good.
That's killer.
And really getting to the truth is when we get down into like the ways to get a confession out of it.
Yes.